Sorry about that.
Thank you so much for coming to this July 24th, 2025 MH Task Force meeting. I'm really grateful to have you all with us here today. To start, if you've been here before, if you want to drop your name in the chat, and we have a few people who it's their first time here. So after we do a quick run through of the agenda, if you're willing to share out loud who you are and if anything in particular brings you here today. After quick intros, we'll talk about some of the action items from last meeting and progress that's been made on that. If you have an update that you want to make, feel free to drop it in the chat too, or also we'll just leave some open space after we give a few. And then we'll be focusing on the request last meeting was to focus this meeting on home repair programs. So grateful for many of the people who work at different home repair programs in the city and county who will be sharing some about their programs and also about some of the barriers that we're facing in the programs, really trying to look at how we can use this group to work on a collective impact. So really just emphasizing again that if you're sharing something that's a struggle, if you're sharing that there's a long wait time, that's not a criticism at all on any of the programs. We want to know if someone calls and they're trying to have their AC unit broken, how long it actually takes, because we're trying to work collectively to fill that gap. So appreciate everyone being here today, and we'll open it up for anyone who'd like to introduce themselves. I know at least Lupita's your first meeting. I'm not sure if anyone else.
Yes, this is Lupita. I guess I'll start since it is my first meeting. First of all, thank you for having me here. I'm with Direct Advocacy and Resource Center. I'm the Home Access Program Manager, and I'm excited to be here and talk a little bit about the program.
Thank you so much. Is anyone else your first time here?
I'm Josh Slaylaw. I'm part of the TRPA crew. I'm a field coordinator here, and this is my first time in the meeting, but I know our executive directors have been in these meetings before. So.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Mónica, no es la primera vez, pero pues para darle, ¿no? Pertenezco a Poder Casas Móviles y nada, trabajando con, pues somos promotoras de lo que es los derechos de vivienda y apoyando a la comunidad y escuchando, como mencionaba, hay ciertas quejas y ciertas injusticias que ha habido con la comunidad sobre lo que es el mantenimiento y también los altos costos de las utilidades. Se lo paso a ver, ¿quién quiere? Susan.
And if anyone does it, if it's your first time and you don't want to be spotted out, feel free to just drop your info in the chat too.
Good afternoon. It's Pima County Home Repair. I'm Joel Beers. We've got Joel Costello and Tony Reese here as well. You hear us okay? We always have technical difficulties in here.
Hear you great. Thank you. Great. Thank you, everyone, whether it's your first time or whether you have been coming these months. Appreciate you being here. I take just a couple minutes to go through some updates from the last meeting. As a reminder, if you haven't been here before, we do have rolling meeting notes and slideshows and can share any of that. I dropped the link in the chat and can redrop that of our past meeting notes to catch you up. Just have a few slides that I've updated since the last meeting. The last meeting, we were really focused on what are some action items? What are some next steps to really help keep us moving forward? And one thing we talked about around some of the issues people are facing around lack of accountability related to utility charges and reliability. Poder Casas Móviles and the Attorney General's office met and are also looping in SALA, Southern Arizona Legal Aid, and AMHO, who just weren't able to make that meeting, to work on getting training materials together on what people's rights are and really doing a workshop packet on here's how to read a utility bill. Let's do some sample utility bills together. Let's like look through these to help find where issues might be so that people can proactively be ensuring that their rights are protected related to utility charges. So if anyone is interested in being a part of that meeting, besides those that we already know, which is the Attorney General's Office, Poder Casas Móviles, SALA, and AMHO, feel free to drop that in the chat. And we plan to have those materials ready by August 14th, when Poder Casas Móviles is starting a 3-week Know Your Rights training that will include a lot of specifics about utility charges. Next, continuing on that theme of oversight for charges for master meter utility customers. Everyone who was on the listserv 2 weeks ago or a month ago would have received this capstone thesis. I can send it to folks who joined after that as well, written by Mariana Grigorov, who was at the University of Arizona. She saw Yana's article in the Luminaria about utility charges for master meter customers and reached out to share her capstone thesis about master meter charges. It wasn't exclusively focused on mobile homes in Arizona, but was largely focused on that. She couldn't make it today, but is planning on coming either to the August or September meeting to present some of those findings. And again, if anyone doesn't have that and wants to read it, I can send it to you. Feel free to drop a note in the chat. Also, have been compiling lawsuits related to how a public utility is defined by the Arizona Constitution to develop a better understanding of what it would take for the Corporation Commission to oversee master meter utilities. Frank brought this up in the last meeting. You know, many people in this room have called the Corporation Commission and said, what's happening? Like, why don't you provide any oversight? And they say they don't oversee master meter utilities. We haven't had that clarity of, well, what would it take for that to happen? Or at least I haven't had that clarity. If anyone in the room has had that clarity, please speak up. So I can send out links to all of those lawsuits that Frank had mentioned the last meeting and has since sent to really try to understand better, what the barriers would be. It's mostly related to how a public utility is defined by the Arizona Constitution. And also plan in the next month to try to meet with the Corporation Commission office too and get a better understanding of how they're seeing it from their perspective. So if anyone else would like to be a part of those meetings, so please drop your name in the chat there too. Last month I met with organizers in Denver who helped to implement the law in 2019 that establishes a government entity to oversee mobile home parks in the state of Colorado. And Andrew had mentioned this at the last meeting because I believe he used to work in Denver, and he's set up a meeting for August 7th at 9 a.m. to meet with those staff. So we'll likely be asking if they'd come to a full meeting. So be kind of a pre-meeting to get a sense of what things they might share about and what kind of learnings and what things we could do to prepare for them coming. But if anyone is interested in being, again, a part of that smaller pre-meeting, please let me know and we can send you a Zoom link. But the people in Colorado, they seemed really happy with it. They said there's now a process where every mobile home park has to be registered, and that they're really conscientious about following up with complaints. An area that we haven't, as far as I know, had any progress on since the last meeting, what would love support with, is one thing we talked about was building relationships with the utility companies to at least get a one-pager from each utility that we can provide to people so they can understand how their bill works. We know this is publicly available information, but on most of the websites, if someone looks at the website and then tries to understand their bill, it's not that clear cut. So something that might say, if you use this many of kilowatts as a TEP customer, like this is what a single family residential bill might look like. Having something like that for each of the utilities, including what the additional charges can be, because some places are charging additional charges that they're not allowed to charge. And again, it's not always clear reading on the website. I know I read a lot of utility bills and I have a very hard time translating from the information on the website to an individual person's bill. So we're looking for, being able to talk with some of the utility companies and to see if they might help us understand in a more simplified way what a single family residential bill should look like in this scenario. Does anyone have relationships with the utility companies? Would anybody be interested in helping to contact some of them and being in conversation there about getting those types of materials together?
Hi, everyone. This is Nate with Pima County Health Department. We do work with TEP, and I will say sometimes it is a little hard for us to collaborate, but we do already have a relationship, so I can try to bridge that.
Thank you.
I reached out to a couple people to see if there was any connections at Southwest Gas, because I think one of the things we talked about was maybe like trying to understand more about how their assistance for MH master metered residents was set up. I haven't had any luck yet, but I will continue trying. If anyone knows anyone at Southwest Gas.
Great, that was our last slide, was about following up with Southwest Gas and also following up with the people in California. I know, Kim, you said that you had tried to make contact there. And if you need any support too, trying to reach out to the people who work on the conversion program that's public support from master meter utilities to direct utility customers. Are there any other updates or announcements that people would like to make before we move into the presentations from the home repair programs? I know, Kim, you mentioned the HSLA is open again. Do you want to share what that is and how to apply?
Hello, I'm Kim from AMHO, and I enrolled last year in the HSLA. It stands for the Housing Stability Legal Advocate, and it's ran through the University of Arizona in conjunction with the University of Utah. It's the program allows lay people to actually give people legal advice, which has never been approved in the United States until now. We are the first states to start the process, and it's a course that will teach you the law based on a specific category. In this case, we're doing housing stability. There is also a program for what is it, medical aid, financial Medicaid, or something like that, you know. And there's another one. I know they have 3 or 4 different categories. We are working on the housing stability. It's maybe a not, what is it? It's a semester-long course that requires a lot of reading, but you basically learn the whole LTA for mobile homes, for residents living in apartments, and for people that are living in RVs. So I took the class and I got most of it up to the eviction. It's 9 chapters, the 9th one being a review. So I got up to chapter 6 and it was about evictions, and I was going through evictions with my people, and it was just too much for me. So hopefully I can get back into it again and finish the last 2 chapters and take the test. Once you're certified, you are approved through an organization that HLSA approves, they then give you a certification that says you may give legal advice in your domain without charging to anyone and everyone. So it's a great asset to have under your belt when you're dealing with the public in their complaints about living in a manufactured home on rented land, or living in a landlord's property and paying him rent. It's nice for them to know their rights, and then we can share those rights with them. Yeah, it's a great program. They're reaching out, they're asking for people to enroll because this program is fabulous. It doesn't cost you a dime out of your pocket. The state is currently paying for the whole tab, and they just want you to be connected with a program that helps residents. And so join AMO, and you can join this legal aid program. I'll put my, well, you guys can get in touch with me if you're interested. My boss, Kath Noble, is the president of AMHO, and she just put out a request today for more people. And we also are looking for directors in different regions. If you know people in the state that would like to contribute, we cover the whole state.
I just dropped in the chat the link to the Housing Stability Legal Advocate, the HSLA info sheet.
Application.
They are asking that people apply by Monday. So if you know
Oh, wow.
people who are interested, I think they're trying to have a pretty quick turnaround.
Okay,
And I'll send it over email to our listserv as well.
great.
Any other announcements?
Hey Ray, I put it in the chat, but can say it out loud as well. Step Up to Justice is offering online and virtual sessions for mobile home owner asset and property protection, MAPP for short. I put the link in the chat to their website, or you can scroll down and see their curriculum. The next session is August 22nd, and that'll be a session in English. I'm also passing along this information about these meetings, as I think it would be helpful to have Step Up to Justice here. They're a pro bono legal resource in the community.
Rachel, it wasn't totally clear where that session is going to be, if it's going to be online or in person, and how to sign up from the link that I could tell.
Oh no, okay, let me double check. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it might be my own computer to have to do too, so.
Thanks so much for sharing that, Rachel, and for inviting them. We have invited them multiple times. glad to have another person inviting. It'd be really wonderful to have them in this space. Since they are one of the legal services that does provide those direct services and training. Certainly a missing voice here in the room.
It looks like the session on August 22nd is from 1 to 2 at the Martha Cooper Library. So this will be in person in Tucson. Let me put that information in the chat. Thank you.
Are there any other announcements? Sherpa, if you want to share your screen again, I'll drop this order in the notes with City of, oh, I guess Susana's already here. The City of Tucson going last since Andrew's coming a little late. We'll hear from Chirpa, from PCOA, from Direct, from Poder Casas Moviles, from Pima County, and then from the City of Tucson. And if anyone is not on that list and wants to share, drop a note in the chat. We'll get you on there.
Is that the green light?
That's the green light. Go for it.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Angelica Santiago Gonzalez. I'm one of two co-directors at Chirpa.
And I'm Josh Slayla. I'm the field coordinator here at Chirpa.
See if it clicks. There it is. Okay, so a quick rundown of who we are if you do not know us. Chirpa has been part of the community for over 40 years. Originally started out from the Mennonite Church with a large group of volunteers who are really interested in providing home repairs, emergent home repairs to Tucson and Pima County residents. Now, over the years, we have 15 full-time staff, well, actually 15 staff members, 8 of which who are field staff members who go into these homes. 3 of them are program coordinators who take calls, and of course, support staff, Josh, myself, Carrie Nelson, who was not able to make it here today. And we work with a handful of local volunteers that thankfully help us get to over 1,000 homes annually. And that is, just to put it into perspective, that's 8 field staff plus a handful of volunteers, and then maybe some seasonal volunteers that go up to what, maybe 10 more?
Yeah.
5 to 10 more during the winter seasons. Now, who do we serve? We serve primarily homeowners. That means whether it's mobile homes, site-built homes, sometimes RVs, wherever someone calls home, that's where we go and serve. Historically, Chirpa and the trades have been a male-dominated field. If you're looking at the photos there on the left, some of our originators, and now if you're looking at the larger picture, you can see that most of our crew, including our field staff crew, are as diverse as our clients. That means that we have female crew members who go into our, and I'm gonna talk about this later in our demographic, but majority of our clients are also women. In terms of who gets services and how they reach us, well, Chirpa functions mostly by word of mouth. We have a long list of, well, I guess no shortage of work, that's for sure. But when it comes to who knows of us, we really rely on our partners, on our funders, on word of mouth. We have trucks that have our logo and our phone numbers on it. And we get over 100 calls every day requesting work. Now, how we answer those calls or how we return those calls, our program coordinators in the office are bilingual, both in English and in Spanish. And we listen to every single call that comes through. How that looks like and turning it into a work order and being able to go into someone's home. Well, it's harder to understand the emergency when someone just says, "Hi, my name is so-and-so, please call us back." We respond much more quickly to those who say, "Hi, my name is so-and-so, I'm 85 years old, I haven't had heating in over 24 hours and it's over 90 degrees in my home.
Cool.
Oh, sorry, yeah, cooling, thank you. And I had cooling over 24 hours and it's over 90 degrees in my home. Those calls help us understand the urgency of what's going on. They give us context into what is needed in the home, and it allows us to be able to create those work orders to send out our staff. Oh, yeah. Thanks. So how do we do this? Well, the work that we do is free to our clients, and it's only made possible because of our partnerships and the programs that we have. Due to our partnerships, we rely on local, state, federal grants. We rely heavily on donors. Tucson Water plays a huge role in our toilet replacement program, and Southwest Gas helps us with furnace replacements or furnace repairs, water heaters. Josh will talk more on the specifics, and I will say a little bit more on the next slide. And although I will point out at this moment, due to leadership changes, we don't necessarily have specific contacts for those partnerships, but we use a portal for requests for some of the work that we do with Southwest Gas, and we do have someone with Tucson Water that we may be able to reach out to for any specifics in terms of the utility questions that were coming up. We receive fee-for-service programs and work from PCOA and Tucson Fire, or like TC3. And just to go in depth a little bit more about what those repairs look like in terms of our programs: emergency home repairs, heating, cooling, evaporative coolers mostly, furnaces, drains, toilets, plumbings, water lines, electrical repairs. Oh, am I missing anything? We also,
accessibility.
yeah, so the next one, adaptive construction and safety equipment. That falls into our accessibility. So ramps, grab bars, threshold ramps, sometimes steps, widenings of doors. I don't think we do that as often anymore due to funding. We at least used to do more windows. Now we do them if they're broken. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So a lot of the programs and repairs that we historically used to do have been cut down and dwindled. And I guess this is where one of our larger gaps. We don't do as many roofs as we used to. We don't do as many window repairs. Doors, if it's the main security door, we work on those. Tub to shower conversions don't happen at all anymore. Not really. But we can talk more of that. If you have any questions, we'll provide some of that. And again, the toilet replacement project that we work with Tucson Water with. Okay, so we do not have a waiting list. We work on triage. Back to those voicemails and those calls that we receive in the office and the web submissions that we get on our website. Our program coordinators are listening to every single one of those calls. And if they sound emergent, we try to schedule them within the next day. But on average, it looks more like within 4 days, we get to those home, and it goes up to 18 days for the turnaround. We have seen that due to funding capacity and a lot of the funding losses across the board, that the waiting days have become longer. 6 months ago, it was up to 11 days. And now it's 18, and then now it's looking a little bit from the last month, closer to 26 days. We're doing our best with what we have with our funding and with the staff that we have, and making sure we can get on for those who do not have cooling, especially when weekends come up. We try to get in there on Thursdays or provide portable units. But it is hard, I think, for everyone currently. Where do we work? Well, we work in Tucson and Pima County, and that includes 36 zip codes across the board. Cooling, heating, and plumbing make up for over 80% of the jobs that we do, especially because during the summer, our focus is primarily on evaporative coolers, trying to get as many cooler repairs in as possible, a lot of replacements. Josh and I were talking yesterday, and the goal is usually to do at least 2 cooler replacements a week. Yeah. And then in the winter time, it's a lot of the furnaces. We're turning off coolers, we're turning on furnaces. And then at that point, we usually know whose furnace will need replacing. And with new clients, that ends up becoming a focus for October and November when we start doing a lot of that work. And plumbing just tends to be year round. Our demographics, we work specifically with homeowners, and we understand that there is a gap with who, and then historically, like who are the homeowners, who becomes a homeowner, and what that turns out for in terms of our client. It looks like we have veterans, but most of our clients are of an older population, older adults, 50% of which report as having disability, which is why a lot of our work also includes ramps and accessibility repairs. 74% of our clients identify as women, and nearly half of the work that we've done with our clients were at home, mobile homes. And almost, well, I guess over most of our clients, 96% fall under the 30 or 50 area median income, and several of them have not reported any income. Oh. Here's a delightfully beautiful collage of our staff members and volunteers doing the work. Thousands of repairs over the 40 years. And here's Josh.
Like Angelica said, during the summertime, our main focus is cooling. We still focus on accessibility and some plumbing stuff, but with the amount of calls that we've been getting around 30 calls every day for new clients about not having cooling. So that's a lot. We are trying to get to as many as we can, but it's not possible to get to every single one of them. But then there's also people still have issues like they can't get in their house and they have their water line broke. So then they don't have water for their evaporative cooler in their house. So then that's also related to cooling. So that's kind of the summertime. We focus mainly on those 3 things. Majority of stuff we do is evaporative coolers. We do have limited funding for AC repairs and replacements stuff. We can also provide like portable AC or window AC units. If there's nothing else that we can really provide for the person as kind of a temporary way to help give them some cooling in like a room of their house or 2 rooms of their house, depending on what we can provide, what grants they fit into our funding. That's the main focus of the summertime. Historically, we've done about 75 coolers a year. I know the prices of evaporative coolers have significantly gone up in the last 5 years to being over triple the cost. So that one of the barriers that we are facing is like we're not able to do as much with the funding. Even if the funding is increasing, it's not increasing nearly as much as costs of things going up. And I think the prices will continue to climb here. Yeah, and sometimes like we don't have a great solution for the house, and all we can do is provide a portable unit, but we try to get some type of cooling for people.
At least in one room.
At least in one room, or 2, depending on the situation. And the other, like one of the main things, we're just getting overwhelmed this year more than other years with many more calls for cooling and for just other repairs in general. Seeing a significant increase on our end for people needing help. And yeah, that's kind of what I have to say about that. Yeah, that's some cool stuff. Yeah, and here's kind of a little slide just kind of showing some more things of what we are providing for cooling, evaporative coolers, and yeah, AC repairs. Some of the smaller repairs are easier to get to and quicker. The larger ones depends on funding, if it's available, if we can help them with that, if we can replace it. We are limited on just the funding we have for a complete house AC system that's quite limited. Like we get about 5 to 6 a year that we can replace with the funding we have. So a very, very small number really for full house AC systems that we can have replaced. So sometimes when people call and we are out of funding, we just have to provide some type of temporary portable unit or something to help them in the meantime. And then, yeah, here's some of the typical costs that we see in general, like the portable ACs and like what a mini split ends up costing us to have installed, and or evaporative cooler and window ACs. Just kind of a show, but even just like 5 years ago, some of these costs were about a third of it, and that's mostly just because of equipment costs.
These were quotes just from this summer alone from some of our clients. The names have been changed. We could provide a story of who each individual client is, but the reality is that we work with vulnerable populations. Some of them have just gotten out of hospitals. Some of them are just trying to stay in their homes. Some of them single female head of household with a young child, and this reality, it is hot outside. It's 110 on some days. It's 103 on most days. We've been lucky right now with some cool weather, but inside a home, especially mobile homes that are not insulated very well, it makes a difference when we are able to provide cooling and relief. In terms of barriers and hours in which we work Monday through Thursday, and in the summer start times are at 5:30 a.m. and we go until about 2 or 3 p.m. and the winter times it's 7 to about 5 p.m. but that means that we have to get the bulk of our work done Monday through Thursday and try to at least provide temporary relief for our clients that Thursday so that they can last through the weekend. So I would say that is definitely a gap that would need filling for maybe another partner. Or on top of having more partnerships and help with partnerships, we could use flexible funding for the summer for cooling. ACs, we are less likely to do that because we just do not have AC funding. And most of our clients within mobile homes only have evaporative coolers, can't afford AC units. AC units are expensive. Someone who is in a low income household wants to be able to, keep their home cool and be able to afford so. AC units are just too expensive, and a lot of those mobile homes don't have the capacity for them either. Volunteer support. Like I said and mentioned earlier, we have a good handful of local volunteers, but the reality is they're also aging, and our local volunteers have been with us for over 20 years. A lot of them, yeah, a lot of them for over 20 years. Getting new volunteers that we train on the job helps cut costs, and it helps us reach more of our clients that are in need. Means we could cut down the amount of work orders that we have and get to most of those calls, especially the urgent ones. So spreading the word about volunteering with Chirpa. We do have a new volunteer form ready and available. We can have that sent out. And just help navigating cooling systems eligibility and even donations of evaporative coolers or units. That is helpful to us. So yes, we know that the crisis is real and it's hard for everyone across the board. Our field staff, 8 of them that are actually on the ground, especially during the summer, are really bearing the burden of the heat too on these roofs. And when it's storming on ladders and, you know, it's dangerous work and we're doing the best we can. And it's becomes better when we're doing all this together. So yeah. Here's our office number for referrals. They can call. We will listen to every single one of those. A person does not pick up, it is a voicemail, but a person does listen to each of them, and then we call and make work orders. You can also send submissions on the website.
Occasionally you can get somebody, but they're talking to so many people that more than likely it's going to be a voicemail.
Yeah. And you also see here Josh's email, Carrie's, and my own. And that's it. Let's see if I can stop it. Here. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the care you put into this presentation and for getting on so many roofs in the summer heat, you and the whole Chirpa staff, and for answering 100 phone calls a day. Does anyone have questions or comments for Chirpa? Or we, I think PCOA will be up next. A minute here.
Yeah, I have a question. I guess, like, do you guys feel that someone with like a well-operating evaporative cooler is pretty heat resilient? Like, do you think that's like a, yeah.
I can answer a little bit about that. I mean, during the humid times, it's not nearly as good as an AC system, but we also have clients that don't have, like, they are on $900 a month. You're paying $600 a month for their space rent, so they don't have the money to pay for electric AC. And so we've actually had people like, oh, I have an AC system, but I can't run it. What can you do to help provide something? Evaporative cooling is significantly cheaper to run. So, I mean, there's that, but it's not as effective as cooling. But then sometimes you get to these old mobile homes that don't have electrical capacity to run an AC system, or are very poorly insulated. And so their bills are even higher than like a normal house would be for the AC system. So we try to take into account, like, can the actual person pay for the AC? If they can't, if we put it in and they're not going to use it, it doesn't help us at all, like help them. And we've had that happen. Like, okay, we could fix, you know, have somebody go out and fix replace their compressor or something in their AC unit, and then 6 months or the next year they call us back saying, hey, can you do something else because I can't afford to pay for it. So I feel like it's better than no cooling for sure, but it's not necessarily, during the monsoon season, it's not necessarily as good as the AC for cooling. It can do pretty well when it's dry, but yeah.
Thanks, guys. That's super helpful.
I have a question. I wondered, a lot of, I live in a park, and a lot of the evaporative coolers have been taken out of the homes. With the cost of the electricity bill, I just got mine, it's $200 today. What would it take to put another one on the home to replace the ones that people are taking off? And now a new owner comes in and she wants the evaporative cooler.
It kind of depends on what they did to remove it. Like, if they took it off and just capped the ductwork, that's a lot easier to put one back on than if, like, sometimes we see, like, they'll go and re-roof the whole roof on like a house and then close off, remove the ductwork for the cooler. It's a lot more difficult to put one of those back in.
Okay.
There are like window evaporative coolers that can go in windows, that are a possibility, but then again, you're still limited to like where the air can blow in that room or a couple of rooms. If you have, they can open up for hallways or whatever that's can blow through. But
Okay.
yeah, it's really situational dependent of what they did to remove it. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if there are any other questions, thank you so much for your time, and would love to hear from, I think either Francine or Ray or both from PCOA was going to share with us, and pass it to you.
Take it away, Francine.
Thanks, Ray. So at PCOA, we've had some reduction in funding. So our home repair program that probably the last time we spoke is now has completely changed. At the moment, what we're doing, we used to have a community home repair program, a pretty large program with that. And again, due to funding cuts, we are putting a pause on that program because we are going to be relying on, or we're going to be looking into community funding and grants, be able to serve those folks and to be able to at least kind of gather those referrals and see actually how many we can do, how many cooler turn-ons, and really get a specific number to see what we're capable of doing. And so since we're not at that point yet, because we're still closing out last year, we don't have those numbers or that budget yet, but we're hopefully soon in the next month or so to be able to provide that and to open that back up and start taking referrals and for some of that, for that community home repair part of it. But we are doing, we did get a HUD grant, and that's going to be focused more on the safety part of the home safety part of that for an older adult, and there's specific requirements for that. And they clients can call into our intake line and be able to get more information to see if they qualify, get it assessed for that. And that is in conjunction with an occupational therapist that's going to come out and do the assessment for that, and per like the HUD guidelines of what types of home safety repairs or adaptations that we can offer. Those are going to be done within, of course, our allowable budget that we're able to do per client. So that is something that's going to be coming up that's more geared towards that home safety piece of that. And I believe, I'm not sure, Ray, if you want to speak a little bit, but do we have some emergency type funding that we're using for that?
Not for home repairs.
Okay.
We do have emergency funds available to, stabilize housing for someone who, say, had a mishap, had an unexpected expense, and now they can't pay their mobile home space rental or their rent. And so we can review and check into that as long as they can go forward and sustain paying their bills for their basic needs. We do have emergency funding for that, just not for the home repairs. And thanks, Francine, for talking about all that. It's hard. It's hard to have a change like this. And once we do have community funding, we're really going to be limiting our focus to the heating and cooling for safety.
Thanks, Ray.
So yeah, we don't have a whole lot to talk, not nearly as much as Chirpa, and just a shout out that we so appreciate our Chirpa partners.
Absolutely.
They're wonderful.
Can I ask about that gap of if you know how people are doing with that cut? Because it seemed like that was funding largely to help turn coolers on. Is that right? That is no longer available, of how
Yes.
people are meeting that need otherwise?
Thankfully, our cooler turn-on season was last fiscal year. So it's more now coming down to the repair part of it, I think. And I don't get as many, but that's the piece now we're seeing that effect. And it's really going to be preparing for the heater season and the cooling season coming up. So I don't think we've seen really the impact or that piece of it. I think we're really going to be looking at the eligibility requirements and really narrowing that down, not as open as we previously were, for to be able to accommodate those most in need and to be able to use those small amount of funds as best as we can. But I'm sure I know there's a definite an impact on that. And we've been, our intake department has been giving resources for other nonprofits and other agencies that do home repair type of assist with that.
Does
Thanks
anyone-
for giving us the time to be able to address that.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing. If anyone else wants to jump in with questions or drop them in the chat. If not, thank you to Lupita for coming to your first meeting and to bringing the voice of Direct into this group, and would love to hear from you.
Hi, thank you. I appreciate you inviting us, and I'm sorry it was like last minute, so I don't have my PowerPoint put together, but I mean, we have one, so I can always send people some information. But it's also great to see a lot of our actual community partners that are in this task force meeting. We do collaborate a lot with Chirpa, Pima County, the city of Tucson, and PCOA as well. So we receive a lot of referrals from all entities, and it's just great to have the community partners that we do. So that makes a huge difference because we all sound like we're in the same boat, funding, funding, funding. It all comes down to funding at the end of the day. So it feels like there's more need in the community than there is funding to provide some of the modifications, repairs, and things like that for a lot of people in our community. So one of the things that we focus on, and our main thing that we focus on, are keeping people in their homes and out of nursing homes. So that's huge. That is a big portion of our mission and goal with Direct Advocacy and Resource Center. Those of you who are not familiar with us, we are a nonprofit organization that serves people with disabilities, all ages, but primarily for certain programs like the Home Access Program. A lot of it is aging in place and people with disabilities. And our whole mission is advocate voice, choice, and independence for people with disability. And our vision is universal design, universal access. So everybody has access to their homes, and not even just their homes, but the community at large. So we're a huge organization of advocacy and disability rights. We also are a national network, part of a national network. I think there's like over 450 centers around the US, and 5 in just Arizona alone. So we serve, Direct serves all of Southern Arizona, and Pima County with different grants, that we have. I think something important about Direct, just a little background, is we are operated by and for people with disabilities, and we've been around for I believe, I'm sorry, I've been here 18 years and I still don't get this because it seems like time's just flying when you're having fun. So over 40 some years Direct has been around. We were founded in 1980. I know that. So, and the Home Access Program alone, we have been providing modifications to homeowners for probably over 30 years now. So other services that Direct provides, aside from Home Access Program, and I'll get more into details about the program in general, but just a little bit of background for people who are not familiar with us. Some of our core services that we offer are advocacy, skills training, peer mentoring, transitioning out of nursing homes, and information and referral. So information referral is a huge part of our service because, like with the home access program, we can't really do a lot more than modifications with certain specific grants that we're covered under. So some of our community partners like Chirpa can do other repairs and provide other services that we're not able to do with the type of funding that we have. So it's huge being able to have those partnerships that are able to provide the service and we can refer to back and forth, as well as Pima Council on Aging. We also have an employment network program for people with disabilities to educate employers to the importance and ability to hire people with disabilities. So that's huge as well. And one of our other programs that we have with Direct are our self-advocacy. So we have a contract with DDD, the Division of Developmental Disabilities, and we offer services and classes for people to learn how to advocate for themselves. And on a larger approach, we have systems advocacy that we do for public access to make sure every public access is accessible, whether it's parking, a restaurant, a bathroom, sidewalks, everything. So we do a lot of outreach and education to our community partners and our community at large. So we've been involved with different programs and opportunities with the City of Tucson as well for some of the housing that is being built to make sure it's accessible. So we've been part of those collaborations with different entities of the city. And I think the main focus that I can really stress to everybody is our whole goal and mission is focusing on the problems, barriers, and accessible environments, and creating a solution to remove those barriers and create access for everybody. So that's kind of where we're at with things. And our main focus, especially for like our home access program. And so a little bit about the home access program. I am the manager of the program. I've been with Direct again for 18 years, so I've worn the hats for all programs. But more so for the home access program, I have slowly taken kind of head lead on the program for about maybe 6 years now. Some of you may be familiar with the previous manager, supervisor of the program, Gail Boucher, who has retired completely with Direct. She actually was part of the startup of the home access program over 30 years ago. So she was my peer and mentor for the program, and I worked side by side with her. So she's retired, and now I have taken over the program. So a little bit about aging in place. That's kind of one of the things that we focus on is people are aging in their homes, and what can we do to eliminate some of those barriers and create a safe space for people in their home. And so how we do that is we first of all, we start with a pre-screening intake. We do have wait lists. Unlike Chirpa, they do a different type of screening, which is great too. But some of our grants oversee like the wait list. So we do the initial intake, submit the application process, make sure they're eligible via income, depending on the type of funding we're using, age related. And the needs. So we work with different funders who kind of have different intake requirements and guidelines to follow. So everything's done by an intake, and then by the time we get to the assessment piece, myself and other staff like our occupational therapist and physical therapist are part of the overall assessment piece. So we listen, we hear, we focus on their original call, what the barriers are in the home. But then we also look at the bigger picture of other areas and other things that can be happening in the home that maybe they're not aware of, like trip hazards, fall hazards, things like that that people may not be aware of or think about. So the whole overall goal is enhancing their quality of life in their home. So we work as a team doing that, myself and my occupational therapist, who's remote. We originally had to hire her on through, I think PCOA mentioned their HUD grant, for modifications and repairs in the home. So that's one of our funders as well through HUD, and it requires an occupational therapist. And having her on has made a huge difference on approaches and how we assess the home and observe the person in their home. There's a lot more to it than just, I can't get in and out of my shower, or I fear falling without grab bars. So doing ratings of safety in areas of their home helps kind of determine where some of those other barriers lie and how we can assist with those things. So that's a huge part of, our program and our role, listening to the person and focusing on everything, not just one thing. The great things and approaches and tools that we use are also assistive technology. That's huge. As we focus on disability and people with disabilities, we may be dealing with someone with a visual impairment or hearing impairment. We look at emergencies. I think, Ray, you and I talked a little bit about that and tapped on someone with a visual impairment as far as smoke detectors and maybe someone who has a hearing impairment, the doorbell. So installing, flashing lights for doorbells, or vice versa, sound alerts for other things for people who may have a visual impairment. So those are some of the things we have done in the past. I think the majority of modifications that we try to cover and focus on, some of the examples are like grab bars, ramps, wheelchair lifts, stair lifts, roll-in or step-in showers, door widenings. I heard Chirpa say that as well. So we kind of do a lot of that type of work based on the need and the request, maybe for someone who has a wheelchair and can't get through, parts of their home. Maybe it's a bedroom or the main entry or even the bathroom. We also do low-rise steps. We can do automatic doors, lever handles, and again, the visual doorknobs and alarms are a lot of our focus. And I can tap more onto some of those kind of modifications that we've done. I wish I had samples to show you some of the things that we've done with our HUD funding, since it's such a small pocket of money that we can use. So we can't actually do a whole shower tub conversion with that type of funding in this HUD grant, but we've gotten creative and we've done some tub cuts where our contractors will cut the middle of the tub and create a step-in access for somebody who maybe are having a hard time getting their, leg over the shower or the tub rather. So that has been huge and a huge success for kind of thinking outside the box of ways to work with individuals and create a safe environment with a little bit of funding. So I think just covering some of the funding sources that we have in our community partners is City of Tucson. So we have referral-based waitlist with City of Tucson for these home modifications. So we focus again on the modification versus a repair. We have our funding source with the county. And we also have our funding source with Access Alltech, so Mercy Care Banner. We get referrals to do modifications for people through the Mercy Care and Banner Alltech program as well. And our HUD program that we have, which is focused in rural Arizona. So we serve all 5 counties with that grant. Gramley, Green, Santa Cruz, Pima, and I think well, we did have a partnership in Phoenix, but we're not serving the Maricopa County anymore, so it's just the main focus is Southern Arizona right now. So I go out and I have partnerships with the Area on Aging out there now, SEGO. So they're kind of doing the same type of program with us and working on rural communities as well. And out there is where I find the barriers and needs for so many mobile homes out there. So in Tucson, you don't see as many of that. It's mainly houses, older homes, but in the rural counties, it's pretty much mobile homes is what we're seeing that we're doing modifications for people. So we also kind of partner with like Voc Rehab, Voc Rehab and the VA for some of those services too, and programs to work together on making, you know, the home accessible and having other funding sources. And all of the programs that, or sorry, the funders that we're covered under are for homeowners only. So I think one of the barriers is people who have the need and are renters. The only exception for renting is the Alltech program. So referral based, they do all the back end. They just send the referral and we do the home assessment piece. So we don't collect documentation. That's already all pre-done through the case management with Mercy Care and so forth. So our other funders, there are eligibility requirements that, you know, the person does have to be a homeowner. They do have to meet the Pima County medium income. So up to date with their mortgage taxes and so forth, no liens on the property. Their assets have to be a minimal of, I think it's like 20,000. Some areas require flood insurance. And within, depending on the type of grant we're using, they have to be living in the specific area that, you know, if they're in the city, of course, it has to be within the city, the county, within the county guidelines and areas. So that's a little bit about the eligibility process. So those are the things that we do the pre-initial screening for. And then once they're termed eligible, then we can move forward with scheduling assessments or adding them to a wait list. So, and in this case, if we know there's like a large wait list and unfortunately, maybe they're signing up for a specific grant that we know they'll be waiting for a while before they're served, we will look to our other collaborating partners like PCOA or CHIRPA, if it's maybe grab bars or threshold ramps or something simple that they may not have to wait as long. And so I think I've kind of covered everything that I wanted to talk about and share with based on our conversation yesterday, Ray. So if there's any questions or anything I missed that we may have talked about that you wanted me to talk more about, I'm happy to answer those questions.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing. Does anyone have any questions for Lupita? And Erlinda was going to do the next presentation, but I know there are some issues connecting to interpretation. Erlinda, do you want to go next or do you want to wait for the county and city to present and then go? Joel from the county, if you're ready, would you like to share next? And I'll check in with Erlinda.
Sure, no problem. Good afternoon again, and it's nice to see everybody because we're in our remedial conference room. You do not get to see us, which is just as well probably. And it's a pleasure to see a couple of our funded partners here at Chirpa and Direct. We also fund Habitat. So I'm gonna keep this real short in the interest of time. We do put in about $2 million a year into the community. Some of that is our internal program. Some of that is again through Chirpa, through Habitat, until recently out in Ajo. They are going to be general funded by the county next year. So that's good for us and good for them really. We work under a couple of main areas. One is weatherization, which is funded primarily by Department of Energy money. Hopefully that doesn't go away too soon. We do fund different projects across the county. We also do roofing primarily, seasonally, obviously. We do a lot of heating and cooling. Those are our main things, roofing and heating and cooling. We do some septic work. And just a couple of quick statistics. Our average cost or our spend on a house is about $16,000. We internally do between 45 and 60 homes a year. Chirpa is kind of our volume folks. They do for us, and Chirpa can correct me. I don't know that I have current numbers. About 200 a year that we fund Chirpa to do. About 40% of our clientele are disabled, about 86% elderly. And we're also finding, and this number is a little bit old, but I think it's even higher now, about 68% of our clients are in mobile homes. So that's a huge volume right there. I know last time I had mentioned the price grant. I think everybody's familiar with that. We still don't know when that might roll around, but that'll be a good chunk of money that we can put directly towards mobile homes. I think as everybody knows that is directed solely at mobile homes. So that's going to be a nice addition. I know early on you had mentioned, if there's any particular challenges that we see. And certainly for us right now, this is kind of a period of funding instability, or let's just say unknown funding situation. And the funding inconsistency is one of the real problems that kind of saddles us, particularly towards the end of the year. Right now, we actually are sitting on essentially no funding to do any work. So we can do our assessments, we can do things like that, but we can't actually complete work and pay our contractors. We do have a good group of contractors, and some of them are actually willing to do the work, knowing that they will get paid and that they're able to write it out for even a couple of months. So that's been a real lifesaver for us. What else, Tony? Any additions?
I can think of it.
All right. Yeah, we do principally an online intake. We found that over the years, most everybody does have access either through the library or personal computer or even a phone. Our intake is mobile ready. We also keep applications available, and if we need to take applications out to folks, we will actually do that and help them fill out the application. It is eligibility based. Principally on income. They do have to own their home. We don't have any particular limitations on tax status or anything like that. It is home ownership based as well. I think anything else. Right now, our waiting list is about typically, and this is consistent, runs between 120 and 140, which kind of raises some eyebrows with some people, but honestly, that's really a very good rate. I know at one time the city a year or two ago had 3,000 perhaps. I don't want to step on their toes if I'm completely wrong. There are some waiting lists that are years long. They've got so many people on there. Our typical response rate, unless it's an emergency, is about 14 months, perhaps a little bit longer. Again, seasonally, if it's actually a real safety issue, we can get moving much, much faster. And we do, as Chirpa does, we have portables that we can take out to somebody, even if they're not qualified. We know that really it's kind of a critical need. Yeah, unless there are any particular questions. Oh, we got questions. Oh, sorry, it's 120 to 140 homes at any one time on the shelf in the waiting list.
Can you share what might be an emergency? Like if someone has a leaking roof or their AC is out, like how long the wait might be in those kinds of situations?
Yeah, it's hard to say because there are some variables involved. We often can get a contractor out to look at the home within a couple of days. But it also depends on our current running capacity. Are they already booked? They do have the ability to shuffle around more critical needs if they need to work on a house, you know, leave a job and go do something else that's more critical. They can do that. It also depends on our funding. It depends on various things. Depends on whether we can get them a portable out there. Things like roofs, we've been known to put tarps on roofs for interim purposes until we can get somebody out there. But I want to say, and my Rev Tony can correct me here, that probably within a month, if it's really, you know, 110 degrees and there is no cooling, that we can get a unit in there.
And we do provide portable units, AC units in the interim until we can get them a new AC. And we also will send TEP clients to All Thrive 365, which has the Energy East program, which they can replace an HVAC a lot quicker.
And we do connect with Chirpa off and on, both directions. If there's a particular need, if we, you know that somebody's cooler is down and suspect it may be just a startup issue or something, we might contact Chirpa. They're much more nimble and quicker than we are. The TEP program, that is through, it used to be called FSL. They've changed their name to Thrive 365. And I think if you just go online, you can find them. So just, you know, if you go online, just search for Thrive 365. I think they even have an intake right there. Again, most of the urban area, metropolitan area is TEP. So you might be eligible and potential clients can go contact through that web portal. And Tony just passed me a note, just a note of interest on our intake portable portal. We do turn it on and off, so it'll be on for 1 month and off for another month. We found that works pretty well just to manage the volume. And if somebody has a problem roof or something, they're generally okay waiting a month. It's just, it gets unmanageable if we have to keep piling on applications that we actually can't physically deal with. So unfortunately, we're by no means an emergency program. Chirpa is much more so in that sense. But we do, you know, push through a lot of volume between our partners and ourselves, and it's certainly a huge need. And you know, no matter what we do, it's just going to be a drop in the bucket. But we do what we can. Hopefully, our funding holds together.
Thank you so much for your sharing and for your work to try to help feed this really important need.
A need that's only going to grow. And I think certainly as even the mobile home stock is aging, and we've even seen 1956, 1960 mobile homes that are somehow still standing. And I think more and more of our volume is going to be mobile homes. It's too bad there's not a way to really just replace them instead of kind of stick Band-Aids on them.
If there are any more questions, feel free to jump in if anyone has a question, either out loud or in the chat. We'll try again with Poder Casas Móviles and then end with the City of Tucson, who maybe will also have a price update too. But first, let's hear from Monica and or Erlinda. ¿Están listas, Mónica?
Sí.
¿Quieres hablar un poco de qué son las barreras que hemos visto con los programas que existen y qué hacemos Poder Casas Móviles?
Sí, claro que sí. Pues buenas tardes, mi nombre es Mónica Velasco y soy promotora de Poder Casas Móviles y algunas barreras que hemos visto es que no todas las familias que llegan a nosotros pueden calificar a los programas porque dependiendo de la aplicación de cada programa que existe, ¿no? Entonces también hemos visto las dificultades de las familias de poder obtener algo como hablamos de emergencia, ¿no? Cuando es de emergencia, tuvimos un caso de un señor que su techo estaba muy mal estado, entonces necesitaba ayuda inmediatamente. Entonces, ciertos recursos, como estaban mencionando, que lleva tiempo, ¿no? Aplicar, tener el proceso de esperar a si hay fondos, si su aplicación queda en lista de espera. Entonces, también corre el riesgo de cuando hay menores dentro de esos hogares, la inseguridad del techo, las lluvias, los monzones, el calor, como mencionaban también de lo que es los ACs, que el mantenimiento o cuando está en mal estado, ¿no? Que son emergencias. Nosotros trabajamos mucho con Sharpa, les ayudamos a meter las aplicaciones para que puedan calificar con Sharpa y hablarles sobre cómo trabaja Sharpa, pero también nosotros ayudamos con lo que es si están atrasados con los biles, de lo que es todos los biles, ¿no? Lo que hemos mirado es que nuestros fondos también son limitados, ya que estamos dando una beca de $500, cual a veces no es alcanzable esa situación. Hemos pagado hasta casi 1,000 y algo, lo más alto, $2,000 de todo lo que es utilidades, porque están atrasados de un mes, 2 meses, y son familias, pues hablamos familias, que está la mamá, los hijos, o personas mayores también, que necesitan reparaciones. Y también, pues eso también las ayudamos nosotros en hacerles con el apoyo de pagarles sus biles y ayudarlos a aplicarles en otros programas que existen. Lo que hemos mirado es que también hay ciertas aplicaciones que están en inglés y hay personas mayores que no hablan el inglés, entonces les ayudamos, ¿no? A hacer la traducción y decirles que les van a hablar y les ponemos ahí, pues, de que hablan español o que alguien que puedas ayudarles. Y también hay personas que no manejan la tecnología. Entonces, para meter las aplicaciones, pues nosotros estamos apoyándolos en eso, porque no tienen, en una, teléfonos inteligentes, en otra no saben llenar una aplicación o hablar sobre su problema que están pasando. Entonces, con Sharpa les nosotros les hemos ayudado a tomarle las fotos y de escribirle lo que está pasando y todo eso, ¿no? Para llenar esa aplicación y también con los recursos que hay y hablarles que pues van a tardar un poco, que si se ponen en lista de espera, pero pues estamos hablando que son casos a veces de emergencia, que en nuestras capacidades está de poder ayudarles. De cierta forma hemos ayudado, pero como dicen, como estábamos hablando, los recursos son limitados. Hay ciertas recursos que tenemos, poder casas móviles, que nos limita a ciertas cosas. Entonces estamos haciendo todo lo que está a nuestro alcance en poder ayudar en reparaciones, en poder buscar otros recursos que estén a la mano para poder llenarles a las familias. Hemos tenido también quejas de, bueno, como de pedir apoyo porque se les está botando mucho la luz de sus hogares y no tienen electricidad. Entonces creo que ya son tres parqueaderos que son continuos que está pasando esto. Se les ha apoyado en ir a que hablen con las personas que les rentan y cosas así. Ahorita tenemos el caso de una que le mandaron una orden de desalojo por quejarse sobre eso y pedir que pusieran atención en eso. Entonces es cosas que que a veces no está en nuestro control, pero a la vez está en apoyarlos y poder ir a mirar cuál es la situación, porque una simple queja llega a un desalojo. Si es una necesidad también, y vamos otra vez del idioma, la barrera del idioma y los recursos que están a la mano que tenemos nosotros, ¿no? Tratamos de cubrir todas las necesidades de las familias, de tener de hablar con ellos directamente. Nosotros lo hacemos fuera del parqueadero de sus hogares porque se sienten más confiables en hablar sobre el problema, porque en ciertos parqueaderos se sienten acosados, se sienten perseguidos por las personas que les rentan si ellos hablan mal del parqueadero. Todo lo que es reparaciones, lo que hemos mirado que hay más problemas es en el techo. Nos han llegado a peticiones de los techos y hemos visto que los recursos para remodelación de los techos está limitado. No hay recursos para eso. Y como mencionaba Charpa ya no lo está haciendo y en cierta forma eh, hemos buscado apoyo en otros como colaboradores que nos puedan apoyar en hacer eso y apoyar con ciertas cosas, pero es como, son gastos grandes para remodelar un techo. Seri lo estaba haciendo y Seri ya no tiene esos recursos, en cierta forma fueron recortados y nosotros pues nos quedamos cómo poder apoyar en eso, ¿no? Cómo poder apoyar en esas reparaciones porque la humedad, estamos hablando de un techo que si no tiene las reparaciones, la humedad, el problema que se caiga el techo, porque eso también miramos. La seguridad de las familias, que está, que crece ese moho que es dañino para los pulmones de los niños y las personas mayores, que es un moho que no se quita fácilmente, entonces se va escalando el problema, ¿no? Si el techo no se repara. Entonces, es una de las dificultades del que tienen las familias. Y pues ahorita pues el problema de lo que es de los altos costos de la luz. Nosotros tratamos de tener como esa preparación de cómo poderlos ayudar a tratar de apoyarlos a la familia en su totalidad y poder estar con ellos, pero es para nosotros es bien importante de tener esa empatía con la familia y mirar que la verdadera necesidad de ella, ¿no? que en verdad sí es una emergencia y como mencionaba, que a veces una emergencia se tiene que hacer ya. O sea, nosotros tenemos que buscar la forma de hacerlo y de movernos ya. De cuando dicen no tenemos luz o se está botando mucho la luz, ¿cómo podemos apoyar eso? Entonces, se habla pues a TPT, al de luz, pero el de la luz dice no, es que no está de una forma está dentro de nosotros, pero de otra forma el problema es del parqueadero. Entonces ahí es donde nosotros no tenemos también, perdemos cierto control o cierta limitación de cómo podemos trabajar en eso, ¿no? Ahorita de lo que hemos empezado a apoyar, que nos empezaron a entrar los recursos, que fue en marzo, abril, como finales de abril, marzo, hasta ahorita llevamos apoyando a alrededor de 80 familias en lo que es los biles y lo de las rentas. Y reparaciones no hemos hecho mucho, pero sí hemos tratado de apoyar en eso. Hemos tratado de hacer en lo que están nuestras capacidades, pero sí nos gustaría apoyar más en eso. Como les digo, hemos ayudado a que llenen ellos la aplicación o ayudarlos a llenar la aplicación para que se les haga lo de la reparación. Pues eso es lo que yo tengo ahorita con lo que estamos haciendo y pues nosotros estamos trabajando directamente con las familias y tocando las puertas también de las familias, yendo a mirar sus casas y todo eso, ¿no? En, en estar viendo más visual y las aplicaciones, tenemos dos formas que hacemos de aplicación, que es nada más como para mirar las necesidades y la otra forma para cuando se les da los recursos, pero tratamos de hacerlo inmediatamente y lo más rápido que podemos, como los desalojos. Hemos apoyado mucho los desalojos y ir a las cortes, porque les mandan notificaciones, a veces no entienden las notificaciones, o no reciben a tiempo las notificaciones y pierden su corte. Tenemos una familia que la desalojaron y llegó este sheriff, los desalojó, les sacó bueno, no pudieron sacar sus cosas, no pudieron entrar con sus niños a sus hogares, estaba en la hora del calor, entonces están afuera a las sí eran a las 2, 3 de la tarde, ellos están afuera y se crea un caos, los niños están de vacaciones, entonces ese es como no hay esa con las familias, ¿me entiendes? Poder ayudar. Y sí estamos con los voluntarios, nosotros para ir a tocar las puertas, para ir a dejar la información, para hacer los talleres y todo eso estamos apoyando. No sé, preguntas. No sé si alguien de mis compañeras que está
I wondered, as you're saying all of this, do the owners of or managers of the parks that they're living in speak the language that they speak? Can they communicate with their manager?
Hay managers que sí son bilingües y managers que no, pero hay las dificultades en ciertos parqueaderos que no hablan español. Entonces, y es complicado porque si no hay ese entendimiento o esa comunicación, no se pierde mucho el contexto. Y toda la información que manejan, siempre la manejan en inglés. Entonces, o el horario también de ellos, de los managers, no están en las oficinas, no contestan las llamadas. Ha habido problemas de que no han podido pagar sus rentas y se hablan para pedir ayuda o apoyo y no se contesta. No hay esa solución, entonces ellos se están atrasando en sus rentas y de una forma u otra al parqueadero le conviene porque ellos quieren su dinero y cobrar los días de atraso, ¿no? Entonces no hay esa comunicación.
Thank you so much, Monica. We'll move to our grand finale, Andrew and Susanna, to share about the City of Tucson program and maybe a price update if you have any.
Perhaps, yes, I will have one for you. But first, thank you, Ray. I'm Andrew Paredes, Community Development Administrator at the City of Tucson, and I have Susana Cerda with me, who works on our Tucson home repair program. And so we'd love to let y'all know what we are doing here at the city. Similar to Joel and the county's program, we have, a bit more of a kind of more substantial repair program focus and less, for good or for bad, on emergency quick acting repairs. We partner with some great organizations, Poder Casas Moviles and Chirpa, to name a few, who help fill that space. Our program really focuses on kind of the bigger, larger scale repairs. So Ray asked us to present today. And so with a focus on what we call THRP, Tucson Home Repair Program, do in the mobile home space, particularly. Currently our THRP wait list is about 156 homes. About 8% or a 12th of that are mobile homes. So we have about 8% of our wait list are mobile homes, but over the past 3 years, 25% of the projects we've been able to complete have been on mobile homes. So that need in the mobile home community does kind of rise to the top when we do our screening and prioritization of kind of need and impact. So we're happy that our THRP program is able to focus and service on mobile homes. Our average repair cost for project is about $15,000 for mobile home repair, compared to about $18,000 for a site built or stick built home. So fairly comparable there. We see, as you all probably imagine, that our most common repair items are HVAC and cooling, as well as roofs. Those are really those very systemic items in mobile homes that tend to be the greatest need and where most of our repair dollars are focused. Of the mobile home clients we've had over the last 3 years, 83% of them are elderly, so over the age of 62, and 65% of those clients identify as disabled. So we really are able to focus on kind of the most vulnerable. 74% of our homes are occupied by a single homeowner, and about half of them are at 30% AMI or lower. So we really do have that focused on kind of the greatest need, or we try to, certainly. And in the mobile home space, the average age of home that we've been able to assist is 1983. So certainly there are some federal requirements that, as well as just naturally aging out of the mobile home stock of the very older units. But we see kind of our average age of mobile home at about that, what is that now, 25 years? No, that's more than that, 35 years old or greater, 40, I guess. Gosh, I'm getting old. For about 40-year-old mobile homes is kind of the space that we tend to play in. I'll let Susanna go into more detail, but similar to the county program, we have an application process, primarily electronic, but also have the ability to take applications in person. And with that, I will introduce Susanna Cerda, who kind of is our point person for that application process. Susanna? We can't hear you. Still no.
Susanna, you might need to go to the audio button in the bottom menu. It's like a gray bar under the video, and there's like a little microphone, and then there's a little arrow pointing up. So you might just need to change your audio microphone source because it looks like you're unmuted.
And you are also welcome to come down to my desk and use my microphone. Oh, now I think we might be able to hear you. Darn, no. You want to come down here? This will give you a sense of how big and palatial our office is here at the city. It's going to take her 10 minutes to get. No, I'm joking. Here she is. We're just 2 doors down from each other. All right, ma'am. So just put those in and you're ready to talk. And here's our notes.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
There you go. Have a seat.
We can hear you, Susanna.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Susanna. Can you hear us?
I can. I'm so sorry for the inconvenience. And hello. And I'm so happy to see people that I only emailed to have a face to a name. So it's really thrilling to see that. So I am the contact point for the home repair program. It is a program that addresses roof, cooling and heating, structural, plumbing, and electric. It is on a wait list basis, but it has priority points added to it. So if you're elderly, if you're disabled, and the severity of the home, that's how we select the applicants that will get the home repairs. We do have it online where they would have to upload their information. But like you said, there are people that just aren't capable of doing that. And that's where I come in. I'm able to either do it by phone or I can do it in person, which a lot of time that's where my time is being spent on. We try to simplify the application as easy as can be. We really just need 3 main documents. We need their ID, their current income, and their current bank statement. After we complete that and they're selected for the program, then we start gathering the other necessary documents and we work with them. You know, sometimes as direct will know, it might take a little bit to get all the documents in hand. With mobile homes, it can be a little more trickier because sometimes we're having to wait for them to get their title to their home and to provide, they do have to have proof that their taxes are paid and the title is in their name. So sometimes that could be a hiccup for me or for our staff to work with. But fortunately, we get through it. And like Andrew said, we've really been able to assist quite a bit of applicants that do live with mobile homes or live in a mobile home. Any questions?
Hi, Susana. This is Lupita.
Hi,
Like you
Lupita.
said, nice to put a face with a name because
Right.
I don't know how many times we've talked back and forth via email, but
Right.
hello and good to
Hi.
see your face. One of my questions is, as far as you're speaking about the application process, I know it's fairly new, and we have had a lot of issues going back and forth with the applicants and of course some of the participants that we serve and do the initial screening to make sure they're eligible prior to the application online process. That has been like a huge issue, like getting the documents required to upload and so forth. So we have been kind of just referring them back to the city versus before we would assist as part of our advocacy role, is assist with the process on the phone and do it on their behalf. Is there any talk about changing that for maybe people who are not able to, or maybe not have access to a computer or do it through their phone, or just not able to do it due to a disability or some type of impairment? Have the city talked about any changes, or have you foreseen any high demand on that part at all so far?
Yes, yes, you're correct. Currently, we are working with our IT people. We're trying to simplify the application. You know, we're just collecting the necessary documents just to verify, one, that they are income, their income does qualify for the program, and an ID and a current bank statement. Those are just the 3 documents that we're collecting right now. And we're trying to make it as simple as possible. I do a lot of, I do a lot of applications on the phone, and some clients have come to me, and I have gone out to them to get to help them, assist them with the application. Like I said, we are working to make it more simple.
And accessible, of course, right?
Yes, and of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I'll
Yep.
give it back to Andrew so he can give you
Nice
a little bit.
follow
Oh, yes,
on
please.
that too. One thing that I've heard with the online application is that if someone makes an email address so that they can do the application, but they're not a regular email user, is there an option that there's another method to contact them to let them know that they're off the wait list besides email? Like, can they get a phone call or a letter?
So once they're selected for the program, we make every attempt. We email them, we call them, we send them a physical letter. And even before that, we will go out to their home personally and let them know you've been selected for the program. I have honestly, I get a call right away, like by physical mail. There's been a few occasions where I've had to go out to the home, but we make every attempt to reach them.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. And again, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. I apologize. I'm going to give it to Andrew.
Thanks
Thank
for being
you.
flexible.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks to Susanna. And I will, if she hasn't already, I'll ask that she put the application portal and instructions in this chat, as well as make sure that we send it to you, Ray, so maybe it can be just distributed to the rest of the group.
Hey, Andrew, I put the link to the homeowner repair programs in the chat.
Well,
But
thank
yeah,
you. Rachel is
no
on
problem.
it. I appreciate our team here at HCD. So thanks, Rachel.
Of course.
So lastly, I'm happy to provide an update on the price grant. So as you all likely know, the city and county were awarded an $11.5 million grant from HUD in like December 29th, and received a grant agreement from HUD on or about January 17th, I believe, making that grant official. So we have been kind of working our way through the normal process with HUD that happens in any year, not just this year, but in all previous years. The way these things work, once a grant is awarded, the grantee uploads what's called an action plan and a budget to HUD for kind of final approval before the grant funds are released. In our case, we were awarded less than we applied for, which is also normal. Most times applicants ask for everything they can possibly think of, and oftentimes in competitive grant situations, they're awarded a little less. That happened to us and everybody else who applied for price. So our job is to provide HUD an updated action plan and budget conforming, right-sized to the amount of the grant award. That's all kind of normal and regular. So that's the process that we are going through. And that has actually been working its way through the system. In the interim, as you all might suspect, we, along with every other price grantee, received a message from HUD adding additional conditions to the original award that are based on the administration's executive orders around, lots of issues, not the least of which are immigration status, the diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, that were addressed in the administration's executive order. So the newest update is, and I will that those additional provisions are being reviewed by the Tucson City Attorney's Office. And an update from the city attorney: Tucson has brought a lawsuit challenging HUD's attempt to retroactively impose new conditions on the price grant. Tucson is one of a large group of local jurisdictions who filed a lawsuit in Washington challenging HUD's attempts to impose new conditions on previously awarded and binding grants. So we have filed that lawsuit and we are waiting to see the outcome. So at the moment, we are unable to continue with the HUD revised action plan step until we get resolution to that lawsuit. Really, the long and short of it is we received a grant agreement from HUD. It was binding. We executed it, saying we will perform the grant according to A, B, C, and D. 4 months later, we got from HUD, you now need to also conform with X, Y, and Z conditions that were not part of the original binding agreement. This is the city's position. So we are going through kind of the legal steps with HUD to see what happens. Once we know the outcome of that, we will be able to proceed with the annual action plan and revised budget steps that will enable us to kind of unlock the funds and get them rolled out. So that's an update. It doesn't give us any more concrete when, but that's the latest that we've heard from our city attorney.
Thank you so much for that update. And I only have 3 minutes left. Does anyone have any questions or announcements? It's the one I would make is part of, as many of you know, this is a working group that's also part of the Commission on Equitable Housing and Development, who do get to make recommendations to mayor and council about use of the Housing Trust Fund money. I think there's about $325,000, something like that, of funds currently in the Tucson Housing Trust Fund. So there is a ad hoc working group right now in the Commission on Equitable Housing Development to make recommendations for a process for administering those funds. So really the part of the conversation here is part of seeding that process too, of if there's an opportunity to make recommendations either from the commission or from outside groups who might be able to apply. We don't have those answers yet, but to have that brewing, and we'll be keeping this group in the loop. They also have any other announcements? The next meeting too will focus again on the accountability issue with some of the people that we talked about at the beginning of this meeting around utility charges and for the master metering. Are there any other questions? Thank you everyone for your active participation today and for all the presenters for the work that you do on the day to day and also for sharing that work here. Our next meeting is always the 4th what are the third or the fourth Thursday? So it'll be on August 28th on Zoom, and then our September meeting is in person, if I'm remembering that correctly. And we'll do more of a concerted effort at that in-person meeting to really try to bring more mobile home park residents to that meeting as well. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Ray.
Thanks, Ray.
Gracias a todos.